Welcome back to another episode of the Cast Patrol podcast. You're joined as always by myself, Mick, Jimmy, and Age. This is the second installment of the 2025 NRL team previews. Last week we covered what teams, Age?
We did Rabbitohs, Raiders, Titans, and Seagulls. So if you did miss that one and you want to hear about what we said about each club, go back and have a listen.
This week we're covering the Cowboys, the Storm, the Dragons, and lucky last, the Bulldogs.
Yeah,
and Jim,
memory,
you're here
Mick.
to join us. Welcome back.
I'm back. Thank you. It's great to be back.
And we're going to kick things off with your boys, Jimmy, the Cowboys. What do you think, Cowboys, in 2025? Do you think they rise, they slide, they stay? Where do you see them finishing?
I think they'll finish in the top 8.
No surprise there.
But there's definitely some... I'm nervous going into this year. You know, we've obviously lost a bit of experience, a bit of strike out wide. But, look, you know, Peyton's a good coach and, you know, we've still got some experienced guys in the pack and, you know, experienced guys coming in. So, a lot to look forward to. But, yeah, definitely some nerves, but I think we'll scrape in the top 8.
Yeah, so in 2022, you guys finished 3rd, and then 2023, you had a slump into 11th.
Yeah.
And 2024, you finished 5th. Do you see yourself improving or going a bit worse or staying exactly the same?
I think we'll be around the same.
Yeah, around 5th spot, you think?
Yeah, 5th to 8th, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as we make top 8, don't care.
I personally don't see it. I don't see him making the top 8. I think you're losing too many good stars. You're losing Val Holmes, arguably one of your best attacking players. Cole Felt, Finafiaki, up and coming. Chad Townsend, as much as he cops shit, he's your general at half. And not to mention you cop Lukey with an ACL injury.
Yeah, and Tommy Chester as well.
And Chester, yeah.
So big
bad
cows.
preseason for the Cows. Like, copping 2 ACLs is, you don't wish that upon any club.
And I don't think you're replacing him with too much. Cole Lawton at the Seagulls, probably off the bench. Kyle O'Donnell from Lee and Jackson Barlow from the Seagulls.
How many clubs has Barlow been around now in the last 5
I think
years?
he's been to a fair few.
So
This
one
will
a
be
year,
his
isn't it?
fourth in his 4th year.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, Lawton's a solid utility. I think he'll be good off the bench. Kyle O'Donnell obviously spent some time in the Super League and he's made his way back to the NRL, so keen to see him back. But, yeah, like I said, I mean, I know that we lost a few genuine players, but I think you swap that out for, you know, you get these youngsters, right, that free flow, like, you know, they just will throw the footy around. You know, there's talks that Tom Duffy might start in the halves. There's good raps on him. I think we'll see a lot of Jackson Purdue this year as well. So, yeah, no, I think, yes, we do lose a lot of experience, but I think, you know, at the same time, you know, there's a bit of youth about the team, which is good.
Yeah, it's quite a young backline, as you touched on. So, yeah, that could go either two ways, like very inconsistent defence or a lot of X factor in attack. So, it'd be interesting to see how they start the year.
The good thing is, like you said, you have a lot of youngsters that can fill in that back line. So, at least let's say Labour doesn't perform. You can always replace him with Braden Burns. He's been a centre there. He can do it. You also got Darby, who's in and around. Like, there's a lot of backups if players don't go to...
Yeah, good depth.
How do you see the 1 to 7 going, Jimmy, to open round 1?
I think you'll be Drinky at the back. I think you'll see Braden Burns on the right wing, Talangi on the left wing. Zach Laybutt and Jackson Purdue, I think, will start in the centres. And then I think they'll go Tommy Dearden, of course. And then I think they'll give Tom Duffy a go.
Round 1, you reckon they'll give him the first crack?
Well, Clifford's, I think, he's had surgery, so I think he's racing the clock to be fit round 1. So that obviously opens up the door for Duffy to impress, you know, during the preseason trials and stuff. So I would go with that team, but obviously, you know, whatever way Toddy goes,
And the Cowboys social media team leaked it a touch in that photo shoot with Duffy wearing the 7 in the photo shoot.
In the 3.
Yeah, so maybe that's a little hint how they're going to line up, but I'm sure trials will tell. You got players like Robert Derby, who could also get a wing spot. Valame, Vailea, who was solid last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of like positions up in the air.
And I think you're lucky you still got a lot of rep players throughout the team. Drinkwater, Dearden, Talangi, Nanai, Robson, Cotter. It's littered through that team.
And I think the key is, I think we've got an experienced forward back. Like, McLean's been around for ages. You know, he's played in the big games. He was up for an origin spot not too long ago. Reece Robson's a gun. Cohen Hess comes back from, obviously, ACL. We missed him, I think, sort of last year. Bateman, like everyone's forgetting Bateman.
Yeah, that's
like,
another.
He's a big game
That's another
player.
recruit we didn't have in there.
He's
yeah.
a big game player,
Yeah.
Bateman.
So you lose Lukey, you get Bateman.
Yeah.
Thank
Pretty
God
good
for signing
replacement.
Bateman, eh?
Yeah, so that works out. Nanai, X Factor, Ruben Cotter, is an absolute gun, and then McIntyre, who improved throughout the year, as well as Griffin Neem. So I think there's a lot to like about the Cowboys this year. Yes, we lost a lot of players, but like I said, I think in exchange, there's a lot of good youth in the squad, which is good.
Yeah, I feel like just the main players you still got there. You still got
Yeah.
Drinky, you still got Dearden,
Yeah.
still got Cotter.
And I think like
and
Tommy
Robson.
Dearden, right? Origin, unbelievable. Played for Australia, sort of back end of the year.
Oh, he was incredible.
Like he's going to
for
take
Australia.
a lot of that into 2025.
Yeah, he was nearly the best player for Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, especially in that one of those games. I think it was the
Yeah.
last game.
Yeah,
He had a blinder,
So he'll be on a
so-
high, like huge confidence.
He's got to put him on their shoulders and really go on with it.
I think it will be his team. It'll be Dearden's team.
Yeah, it is Dearden's team, but what about Dearden's spot for the Origin? Like he's also contesting in Munster, who might.
I think he'll be 14.
You think Dearden will be 14? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Benny Hunt might miss out.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. But yeah, overall, it's such a good team. So we all went over. I didn't say actually where I predict I'm going to finish. I think 5th to 8th. I agree
Yeah.
with you, Jimmy. I think top 8. Mick, you've gone 9th to 13th.
I think they'll be at the top end of that. I think 9th or 10th is where I see them finishing. I
Yeah.
just think too much uncertainty in the back line. I know there's a lot of youth, but it might backfire on them.
Yeah.
And it might come to bite them in the arse when points are necessary.
What about Mick? Do you have a boom player for this year for the Cowboys?
In saying that, yeah, Zach Laybut from the Cowboys torn ACL last year, but I thought in the games that he did play before it, he was
Yeah, it looked good.
he
didn't
looked very good.
Yeah.
I just hope he can get like injury-free season under his belt, especially
Good
given like he could be one of your best centers, replace Val Holmes.
Yeah.
Tough ask, but he's the man to do it.
What about you, Jimmy? Who are you going with for your boom player?
I'm going to go Jackson Purdue. We saw a bit of him last year, but I think we'll see a lot more of him this year. Good player. He can play centre, fullback, halves, so he can play a range of positions, so he's versatile.
Yep.
So looking forward to what he can do this year.
Nice. I'm going to go Sam McIntyre. I really love what he did last year.
Yeah.
Has a good offload on him. He runs hard, tackles hard, bit of ball playing as well. I was also tempted to go big Griffin Neem. He
Yeah,
had a
big
had a
Griff.
good 2022, slower 2020. Oh, sorry, good 2023, slower 2024. I
Yeah.
think he can lift those standards
player.
and really make some good impact off the
Mate,
bench.
we're forgetting my favourite player, Mikaeli.
Yeah. Is he not going to make
I think
17?
he might
In
push
and
for a bench
around.
spot. Yeah, he'll be there. I think there'll be a few players pushing for a bench spot.
And
Yeah.
Jim, a big one for the super coaches. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Clifford might not play round one. Does Drinkwater automatically get the goal kicking?
If Clifford doesn't play, yeah, I think Drinky will goal kick.
Is he a
I
good
thought-
goal
I think
kicker?
Duffy kicks as well, doesn't
Duffy
he?
does goal kick.
I think that was the issue. If Duffy starts, he might kick. So I think it might be
I don't
Duffy
know.
or Drinky.
Yeah, it would be whoever might have a
Yeah.
goal kicking like comp.
Yeah, but if Drinky does get that goal kicking, massive plus for the super coaches.
Yeah.
Everyone will be jumping on him.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think this year you guys are good. You are in contention to win the comp, but next year without Reece Robson, that's going to be the tough
that's a big,
challenge.
big loss. Yeah, need to find a hooker.
You still have Robbo this year, so you should make the 8.
No Jake Granville is back up this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Granville, into retirement.
Maybe Lawton will take over.
Yeah, Lawton can play hooker.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
bad.
there you go. I think that will wrap us up for the Cowboys preview. Next team, who are we on to, Mick?
The St. George Dragons.
All right, the next team we're going to look at is the St. George Dragons. So they finished 11th last year, 16th in 2023, and 10th in 2022. What do we reckon about the Dragons this year, boys?
I think there's a lot of positives with the Dragons, like a lot more than last year. I think Damien Cook's a big in, Holmes, Gutherson, Ilias, and recently Emre Gula. I think they're really big signings for
Yeah.
a team to make. But the question is to be asked, I mean, we're talking about it off air. They're losing Lomax and Ben Hunt. Would you say that those two players are equal to all the players that they're bringing in? It's a tough one.
I think it's much more balanced
Yep.
and overall,
Yeah.
it could be beneficial. But in saying that, their whole attack was pretty much Lomax and Hunt last year.
They scored all their
Majority
points,
of their
right?
points was through that
Through
combo.
them,
So,
yeah.
it's going to be, I think it's definitely, I don't think it's as good, but it's just under, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just under.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Gutho's, he's obviously getting on. Obviously, he's got plenty of experience. Same with Cookie and Val. So they've got a bit of strike out wide. Obviously, in order for that to happen, they need some go forward.
Yep.
And I think that's where they've sort of lacked in the last couple of seasons. They've lacked that sort of middle where they could sort of punch holes.
And now even Molo's rumoured he's not happy, he wants out.
Effective immediate
So that's
release.
why they got Gula in there. They've also got DeBellin in the middle.
Bellin, like
The edges-
Eisenhuth, like they're not going to break the line for you.
The edges are good, Sewer and
Yeah.
Leilua. That's good, but like you said,
they're-
Jim, they're missing that go forward.
Yeah.
Through the middle. But yeah, which they also have like Cook and Little, two great hookers. So they need that go forward because that's the start of the whole attack. And then
exactly.
they can go and then it unlocks the halves and the outside
Yeah.
backs.
And then Ilias and Flano in the halves, I'm just not convinced.
Well, yeah, it's an unproven combo. Ilias, he's had his
Like,
queries.
you can argue Ilias has probably copped the short end of the stick at South, and
Yeah.
probably didn't get a fair crack there. But in the games that he did play, I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more his kicking game for me. So I feel
Yeah.
like he can't hold the 7 jersey on his
because I
back.
think defensively he's strong,
Yeah, and he's a good runner.
good runner with the footy.
Yeah. I think if
yeah.
Flano can just organise the game, focus on the kicking and all that, let Ilias just
let
play,
Ilias play
free,
footy. Yeah, free. Yeah.
run when he wants,
Yeah.
get the ball whenever he wants as well. Because obviously at South, he was overshadowed by Cody, Trell. He was always getting the ball when, they didn't want it pretty much. So I think it's a good breakup. It's like when Brooks left Sea Eagles, it
was much needed.
Tigers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good for Ilias.
I'm backing him in to go all right this season. I just think, like you said, Age, it's his chance to proper shine. Right
Yeah.
now, like he's got the number
It's like a
7.
clean slate.
Like we said, they've got players like Gutho there, but he's going to be the man that sort of has to dictate
Yeah.
the game for him. But yeah, I think for me, if we're going off predictions now, I don't see him coming last. I know all the betting agencies out there have him as
Yeah.
the wooden spoon favourite. I don't see it with those signings. Plus, I think Shane Flanagan's a really good coach. Like if you were ranking him, he's probably top 8 coach, top 10 coach minimum. So for me, I think they're still bottom 4, but probably that 14th mark.
Well, they were predicted to come last year,
And they finished 11th.
and they came 11th, and you can argue that they've got a better team on paper this year.
I think
right?
so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think they'll probably hover around that sort of bottom 4, and they're sort of in the mix to push into the
Maybe
8.
push into the next bracket,
Yeah,
that 9th
yeah.
to 13th. And if they have an amazing season, just jack that 8th spot. But
Because last year they were competitive against the good teams. Like they were in the game.
I'm pretty
majority
sure
of the game,
I'm pretty sure
you
for
know?
like
Yeah.
20 rounds they were going win loss win loss. So if they just flipped a few of those,
yeah, I think consistency is massive for them. But as you said, Mick, Flano's a great coach. I think he'll get the most out of these players. I don't know if I see him last, but I don't know how much off the bottom I see him finishing. I'm going to have to lock in bottom 4 for the Dragons, but they could over exceed expectations like they did last year, and push into that maybe 10th, 11th, 9th spot.
Yeah,
That wouldn't shock me.
yeah. I'll go bottom 4, but again, if they sort of pushing for the 8, I wouldn't be shocked.
so we all don't think that they're wooden spoons.
I don't think they'll come last.
I don't
No,
think so,
I don't
no.
think so.
Like it wouldn't shock me, but I've got someone else in last at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's go through their predicted lineup. So obviously Gutho's going to be their fullback.
Yep.
We touched on their halves, Flano and Ilias. They got Sloan on the wing, but they also got Rava as a backup option, Ravalawa. So
Yeah.
I don't know where they'll go with that one.
I don't mind Sloan. He's bulked up in the preseason by the looks of it, and I imagine they're going to try and make him out to be a player like Lomax, aerial threat, bit of X factor, speed on the wing.
got
Maybe
speed,
maybe he'll
yeah.
sweep, do the sweep like when it's not on his side of the field and act as a second fullback.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. On the other wing, Tupolotu, breakout year last year. He was insane, scoring,
Good out of his own end.
Yeah, finishing. It
body.
brings a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Now Valentine Holmes and Sully. So I think Holmes will stick to the left centre.
No, I've read
Sully will
somewhere
go
that-
right.
No, Holmes on the right.
What?
Really?
They're going to
Sully's
swap
on the
him.
left.
Where'd you see that?
I read it somewhere.
I read that as well. Was it Supercoach Whisperer?
Maybe.
But then in the comments he said mistake. It was actually Holmes
oh,
left.
okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I think
okay.
Holmes will stay left because
Okay,
he's a
yeah.
left centre.
You'd be silly to move Holmes. He's
Yeah.
one of the best
Yeah.
left
So
centers
Sully
in
will
the
go.
comp.
Because Sully played left centre last year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And maybe bigger body to help out
And
Sloan out there.
Tuapolotu left wing with Holmes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Not
that's a good combo out there. And then we've got Molo on the sheet here, but he'll probably have to go.
Let's
so
say Gula or Couchman.
Let's say
Yeah.
Gula or Couchman go in, partnering DeBellin, Cook at hooker, Luciano Sewer, second rows, and Eisenhuth locking the scrum. Huth was good last year. He's very
He's
solid for him.
good. Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah.
No,
Good
no,
work
no
rate.
punch though.
Yeah, I mean, he'll just tackle all game.
Tackles
and
all game, has a good
take
offload.
the hard hit up.
Yeah, it takes the sting out of the game. And then
Yeah.
they got players like Little who can come on, put Cook
Good
in at
impact
lock.
player.
Yeah.
Then big blocker. Hopefully Blake Laurie finds some form again. The Tyler Mariner,
Yeah.
Couchman twins, Gula. You know, they got a bit of depth.
Few in
you
the
know.
mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think the boom player for the Dragons will be?
Well, I've got the Couchman twins. So whichever. Toby or Ryan.
Bit of a loophole there.
Which one do you think's better?
Well, I think I'm going to say Toby.
Yeah.
But again, I get confused when they're on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, they're identical.
Like identical twins,
Yeah.
of course. But no, look, I think they were good, so, especially back in the last year. I thought they brought a lot to that Dragons forward pack. You know, they not your sort of typical front rower like that big. They're sort of rangy and
Yeah,
you know,
faster.
They got an offload. They can sort of poke their head through the line.
Yeah.
So I think another year under their belt, I think they'll be really good for them Dragons this year.
Yeah. Mick?
I'm going to go Ilias. I think we're talking about boom players. This one that's going to go above their expectation. I think that's Ilias. A lot of people are writing him off, but I think Flano signed him for a reason, and he's got that combination with Cook there, and he's got Gutho to help him out if he needs.
Yeah.
And the other question mark is returning from that broken leg.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So hopefully the injury's right and gets his head right.
But I don't think there's any pressure on him though to like perform.
Yeah,
As
not
in,
as
like-
much as he had at South.
Like at South, he was sort of thrown in the deep end a little bit, but I think
and
at
like
Dragons,
when we would lose, he would cop most of the pressure and most
Correct,
of the,
yeah.
you know, the
So,
blame.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Who's yours age?
I'm going to go with Moses Sully. He had a great year last year. One of their most damaging players.
Yeah.
In defense,
Give
he's
him
very
some
impressive
early
as
ball.
well. Early ball. He's
One-on-one.
He's nearly
Impossible to stop.
unstoppable sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even there's 2-3 players on him, he makes a break. So
Yeah,
I
really
think
good.
Moses Sully and Holmes could be, if not the best centre combo in the comp.
Yeah, right.
They're up there, top 3.
Yeah.
So that's positive for Dragons fans. Okay, well, that should wrap us up. So we all said bottom 4. Jimmy's gone the Couchman twins. Mick's saying Ilias. I'm saying Sully. But we don't think they're going to get the spoon.
I don't think so. Next team we'll be looking at is one of the 2025 Premiership favourites, the Melbourne Storm. In 2024, they finished first, but obviously lost in the grand final to Penrith. 2023, they finished third, and 2022, they finished fifth.
And when you're thinking about who's going to win the comp in 2025 in the NRL, Melbourne Storm's on top of everyone's list. They don't lose any starters, and they gain Stefano.
Yeah, and I think it's like this with Melbourne every year, right? Like, when are they not in the premiership contention?
They're always around that top 4. They have
Like,
the best
every
coach,
year, yeah,
the
best
best
coach.
spine,
Yeah.
and a great forward pack.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason they can't go one better
Rinse and
this year.
repeat. Yeah, and obviously, yeah, from that grand final loss, I think they'll take a lot out of that, and I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with again this
Throughout
season.
2024, they were the best team every week for the whole season. I
Yeah.
mean, they probably didn't play consistent, but they get the job done.
They just win games.
Then they lose to Penrith in the final,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a failed season for them. Whereas any other team
Yeah.
would take the minor prem and take a loss in the grand final by less than 10 points.
I reckon there was so many games last season where they played so poorly, but they just somehow
found a way.
found a way to win.
Yeah, and that's what the great teams do.
Yeah, exactly
No
right.
matter how knocked out you are, they always get up and manage to just scrape away with the win.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think Storm, they're the ones that can potentially stop the Panthers dynasty.
yeah,
But, yeah, great team.
yeah. And like you said, they haven't lost anyone.
No.
Well, if you go off the list,
Who have they
Remus
lost?
Smith, Chris Lewis, Marion Seve, Dean Iramia, Young Tanamea,
Yeah.
Pia, all great backups in their time, but
none of them, not
started.
even
Yeah.
the 17,
Yeah.
you know, like, so they're one of the teams that have really stuck strong, and that you add Stefano to that pack,
Huge.
which is very OP.
Yeah, and you got the likes of like Jackie Howarth, these young players.
Yeah.
Another year under their belt. He obviously played majority of the season last year in the centres and was great.
Wishard, you know,
Wishart.
had a great year.
Sean Blaw, another
Yeah.
year.
Trent Liero.
Yeah.
Did he play for Queensland last year?
No, he was
Was
close.
he
though. He was in
extended?
the squad. He was in the
Extended
squad.
He's
squad.
close to making Origin,
Yeah.
so like, yeah. And they get Nelson back,
And
who also
Munster
missed
was
the
out for
GF.
half the year.
Yeah, and he had surgery. Hopefully, he comes out
Yeah.
But
better.
it's crazy that they won the minor premiership by a good margin, and then they add one of the best props to their forward pack. There's a lot to like about him, and one that we haven't even touched on is Suafaa Longo, who'd be a guaranteed starter at most clubs, but just can't find his way into this
Waiting in the
Melbourne team.
wings.
Yeah, maybe he might play on the wing if he gets sniffed, but he needs an injury. You know, even off the bench, like Wishart will get that 14 role because he covers
Yeah.
more positions. So, yeah, I think Pap's got one more year in his contract. So, if Paps isn't performing,
What's the plan there, do you reckon?
I think they might let Paps
'Cause
go.
they've got to
I think
ease-
he's going to go to Dogs next year.
Is Paps 2025,
Yeah.
end of 2025 or
This is his-
2026?
I think-
No, this is his one. He
this
just
is
signed
his-
for
okay.
2025.
Yeah, 25. So
Yeah.
he has to prove himself. But the fact they only gave him 1 year means,
Suspicious.
they're either really conscious of his injuries or they know they got
just keen on
far
Stewart.
longer, to take over.
Which is kind of sad because Paps won the Clive Churchill medal in the grand final for him and was pretty much touted for a Origin spot at one point, just behind Tedesco.
just all his injuries
Those
and
injuries,
set him
man.
back and lost a bit of speed, but he's still a great player, Paps.
So where do we see Melbourne finishing? Obviously, in our bracket system, top 4, I imagine.
Be top 4. I see them winning the minor premiership again.
There's no reason they can't. I'm going
Yeah.
top 4.
I think so.
As we said, great spine, great team on paper, top coach, great system. Even through Origin, like players will be out. It's like
Yeah.
the Panther system. People come in, do a job. Depth is crazy. Wishart and then Pizzette as well in the
Is it
halves.
waiting? Yeah.
They got Farlongo there. Like, they're going to finish top 2 surely.
It's funny that for Origin, they might only lose 3 players and they still keep a lot of guns in that team.
Yeah, a few Kiwi reps there.
Yeah, a lot.
You got like Warbrick, Hughes, Nelson. What's Katoa? Samoan? Or
Tongan.
Yeah.
And Hughesy just won the Dally M.
Yeah, it's coming off a great year.
Exactly.
So, he was the best player in the comp last year. So,
Who's your boom player, boys?
Well, I'm not going to steal Stefano because I assumed Jimmy was going to take Stefano.
yeah.
Do you want to just harp on
Yeah,
about
yeah,
him
I'll
for
go-
one more minute? We'll give you a minute max.
Minute max. Yeah, I'll go Stefano. Look, I've raved on about him for the last, few episodes, but I think it's just such a great signing for Melbourne. I think he's going to go to another level like most players do when they go to Melbourne. I think, he'll announce himself as, one of the premier front rowers in the game. And playing off the back of Harry Grant, I think he will just take his game to the next level. So, Stefano for me.
I think the thing with Stefano is we saw glimpses of him really taking it on last year.
Yeah.
And showing that he can be like one of the best props in the game, but
Yeah.
it's the consistency.
That's it.
And under Bellamy, you'd think he'll unlock that.
For sure.
Every week,
He's looking
week in,
fit
week
as
out.
well, those photos. Yeah.
Running 150 metres,
Yeah.
tackle breaks, offloads.
Looking good.
Grabbing a pie.
Yeah.
Mick, who are you going?
I'm going to go Jack Howarth. I mean, not really a boom player because he's probably had his breakout season already, but I just think he's going to go to another level in that Storm team.
Yeah.
At what point do you reckon he got in the team in 2024? Like halfway through, and he was still
Yeah.
Took
performing
him so long to crack
so
that
long.
starting.
But
Yeah.
everyone was always talking about Howarth, and you're like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
And he gets his chance, and all right, I finally see it.
And look, I mean, we probably won't put it on Howarth, but, in that GF, he probably made a few mistakes that, turned the game around a little bit. So he'll be better for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Better
Probably
for
the
that
nerves
experience.
would have got to him,
Yeah.
because he had a good game before
Had a great
that.
year.
Yeah, the
Had a
whole
great
year
year.
was great. As soon as he
Yeah.
got into that team. But yeah, onwards and upwards for Howarth. Another one, the Italian stallion, Trent Liero.
Good
I
player.
think he's going to play for the Maroons this year. I
Yeah.
think off the bench, he's just, when he's on for Melbourne.
He's a typical Queensland
He is.
Queensland player.
He's a
isn't he?
typical Melbourne Storm player, though.
Yeah.
Bellamy just turns these players around. Now he's like an Isaiah Yeo build for
Yeah.
Melbourne on
He's a
bottom dollar,
workhorse. He's
you
a
know?
workhorse.
Yeah.
Yeah, great player. Well, that will do us for the Storm. We've all said top 4. A lot of us think they'll win the comp. If they're fit and healthy, it'll be hard to stop them.
Yeah.
Mick reckons Howarth, boom player. I'm going Liero and Jim Stefano. So next team, lucky last,
Save the best for last. The Canterbury Bankstown
the
Bulldogs.
Doggies.
Let's do it.
Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. 2022, they finished 12th. 2023, Serrato's first year, 15th. Not much improvement, but this is where it happened. 2024, they went to 6th spot, and that was
Yeah.
all in the back of their defense.
Yep.
Do you reckon they overexceeded last year?
100%. I don't think anyone.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I reckon.
Wow.
I reckon it's a massive win for them last year, finishing 6th.
Okay.
Like, I know they got done by Manly in heartbreaking fashion, but if you told me in 2023 at the end, from 15th to 6th,
Yeah.
you'd take that 100%.
But do you not think it was coming though? Like that was brewing that they were there.
I think a lot of people said it, but like Mick's prediction, Dogs to make the 8 last year,
Yeah.
it was still an outsider.
bold prediction.
It was
Yeah.
still like a 3-4.
Well, considering they finished 15th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you go cast your mind back, like Dogs were never in most people's top 8s. So for them to finish 6th, massive win. The question is, can they redo that again this year?
Yeah.
And stay in the top 8?
I just think their signings were really good last year, and I think they've done it again with some really good players just to improve the overall squad. Like Tom Amone, former Rabbitoh, coming from the Leopards, who, like Jim's mate, Kyle O'Donnell, they're meant to be their two best forwards. And you got Satili Tupanua off from the Roosters, be great off the bench. Montoya, maybe Jags a wing spot. and Tuala also competing for that wing spot.
Depth won't be an issue for them.
Nah, no
They've got
way.
depth everywhere.
Yeah, like doing their 1 to 17 predicted, there were so many players
Yeah,
that couldn't
yeah.
fit in. We'll touch on that later, but they do lose a few players. They lose Skelton, Josh Papali'i, not the front rower.
Yeah.
Addo Carr, Perham, Patolo, Tedavano, just to name a few.
Probably Adokar's the biggest one on that list. I do feel sorry for Adokar. I know he did what he did wrong, but I think he was probably given the nudge so they could probably go and sign someone like Leo Thompson.
Fox was probably in and out of the squad
Yeah.
last year anyway, right? He was
Through
injured a fair
injury.
Just
bit.
injury, yeah.
So it's not like a massive loss. It's obviously it is a huge loss, like losing Fox, but
But just losing a winger,
Yeah.
it's not going to change their defense. Like, you know how what were they, top 2 in defense last year?
one of the best defensive
It was them and
teams in the
Panthers.
comp.
So
yeah.
if they can stay top 4 in defense,
Yeah.
they should make the 8. But that's the question. Will teams expose them? You know, will they be the same as last year?
Yeah.
Was it a one-hit wonder? I guess we'll find out.
Well, that's the thing, right? I know what you mean by the overexceed. I think it's a bit harsh, but there's a lot of players that they probably had their best season last year. Can they do it again? Like Connor Tracy, best season.
Yeah.
Kiraz, best season.
Sherry had a great
I think you
year.
can say that for most of the squad. It was their
like-
best year last year.
Sexton had a great year
Yeah.
when he
It's just
started.
like, can they go better than their best season?
But I think experience in that final sort of campaign, I think that goes a long way.
Yep.
I think they'll sort of, they would have went back and analysed that game, and that was a tough loss for them to swallow.
It was just one moment in that game
yeah,
that stuffed them, like it was nothing.
and they were great the whole year.
Except for those last 3 rounds or so, they just literally went off a cliff. And
Yeah,
I think
they
Dogs fans could sense that loss to Manly because it was just slippery slope down.
Yeah, and I don't know, like they sort of did they struggle against like the top 4 sides?
I feel like I'm just going off memory. I feel like they did,
Like they weren't like
against like the Panthers
Like
and
there
the
was a
Storm and
Storm.
stuff. Like
They were shown up.
yeah, like I think they are a drop off of those teams,
yeah,
but they're a
like
chance
they're
to
right
make
there.
the 8.
They're right there.
Another
Yeah.
year with this system. This is the 3rd year with the Serrato system in defense and attack.
Yeah,
They improved dramatically throughout 2023 and 24. They can maintain it and improve a bit.
Yeah.
But I can also see them slipping off a bit while all these other teams below them get better,
Yeah.
new signings and another year under the belt. So where do we see the Doggies finishing?
I've still got them in the top 8, in the bottom part of the top 8, so 5th to 8th. Yep.
Yep.
Look, I think as long as they don't shit the bed and go away from what they did last year, I think they'll be fine. I think they were so solid in defence last year, and as we know, defence wins games, and as long as they keep that up or even take it to another level, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, we did see the Dogs of War last year coming back,
Yeah.
like just nitty gritty, staying in games,
Yeah.
grinding them down. Mick, do you see them top 8 or just missing?
I think I'm about the same spot they finished in 2024. So that bottom of the top 8. I think, like you said, their defense probably wins them games. And if they continue that system with Serrato and all their players, I mean, there's no reason why they can't make the 8.
Yeah, I agree. Like, they're definitely a chance, but I started doing my ladder and I started doing, Storm, Panthers, putting all the teams in.
Yeah.
And I had all these teams that missed the 8 that I think is going to make it, like the Broncos, the Rabbitohs, the Eels. And Dogs actually just slipped out of the 8 when I did my prediction. So I'm thinking around that 8th, 9th spot, but I'm going to go just missing the 8th, but just on the fringe.
But they'll
So
be pushing, like they'll be there.
They will be there. They'll
Yeah.
be there fighting. Yeah, hopefully for the Doggies fans. Predicted
Interesting.
lineups. Jimmy, do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, so I don't think, look, like we said, I don't think a lot will change from last season, but fullback, obviously, kind of Tracy on the wings, Carraz, and I don't know, I think they might go Montoya, bit of experience.
Maybe, yeah, or Wilson's there as
Or
well.
Tuala.
Or Tuala. They got depth.
They got depth in the back line.
Yeah. Centers, Sherry and Courant, they were there last year. In the halves, Burton, Sexton. Front row, Max King, Sam Hughes, hooker, Reid Marnie.
This picks itself. These
itself.
players.
Back row, kick out Preston, they were there. Kurt Mann at lock.
Now, this is where it gets
Gets a bit interesting on the bench.
I don't know what
So-
Serrato will do here.
We have Salmon, Curran, Tupanua, and Moan, but then you've also got
I think Morin will
Curtis
get a bench
Morin will
spot.
be there. Bailey Hayward was there.
Yeah.
Harry Hayes
Yes, they got
around
heaps
there.
of options there.
So,
I'd probably go Hayward, Curran, Satilli, Morin.
yeah.
Amon probably has to earn his spot, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if he does because he's a bigger body. He might get that spot. What do you think, Mick? You like Amon?
I think
don't you?
Amon will get straight in that team. They're not signing him for no reason. He's not come all the way across from England to play reserve grade.
True. But then it might take a bit of time. He has to prove himself.
Adjust.
Probably missing a big body, and I think
Yeah.
Moan's what they need.
Yeah. What about boom player, Jimmy? Who are you going with?
I'm going to go actually Curtis Morin,
The Bulldog.
Bulldog. Yeah, I mean, we obviously just spoke about him. I think he'll be in the 17. But yeah, I think the last couple of years, you know, we've sort of grown to like Morin. You know, that sort of, not that big body in the middle, but he just goes 110%.
Yeah.
In defense, in attack, whatever it is, he gives it his all. And
Punches above his weight
yeah,
massively.
So I
He's
think,
all heart, Morin.
yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of Morin this year.
Yes, Mick. Who are you going?
I'm going Bronson Sherry. His last season probably showed the potential that everyone had for him before his Asada ban. And I think he's going to build on that, especially with combos and playing outside of Burden from memory.
Left side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Left side
kick
strong
outs
side.
there as well. There's a lot of threats
It's
on
a
that
strong
left
side. And considering now they've lost Sadokai, he's going to have to do a lot more of the work himself there.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm going to go Josh Curran. I know he's a benchy, but I don't know why they never start him. He's
He's a gun, isn't
probably their best forward, you'd say.
You reckon?
I think he's one of their best.
Yeah.
There was periods because I had him in
Big call.
I had him in Supercoach last year, and he would do everything. He's all
There's a bit of
heart.
bias there.
There's a bit of bias. I have a soft spot for him, but
Yeah.
he would just run all day, offload, tackle all day. He just does everything, and he wouldn't stop, even if he had his shoulder popped out or injured.
Yeah.
So I think once he gets all those injuries right, had a good off season, I think, if he's injury free, he's the man.
Wouldn't
Curran.
even be top 3 in their forwards.
Who do you reckon?
What a rubbish call. Max King's better than him.
Nah,
Kick out?
I reckon Curran.
Preston's better
Kick
than
out
him.
on potential, yeah.
Preston?
Yes.
Preston's pretty good.
And Max King's better than him.
I don't know. I just love Curran. I'm
Yeah,
biased. I am biased. I'll put
Yeah,
my hand up
good.
and say that, but he's a great player.
Nice.
So there we go. We have top 8. Jimmy and Mick reckon top 8. Bottom of the top 8. I reckon they'll just miss. Wouldn't be surprised they make it. Mick's going Sherry. I'm going Curran. And Jimmy, you're going the Bulldog Morin.
Morin, yes.
So there we have it. There's another 4 teams. That's 8 teams done.
Yep.
How many are left, Jimmy?
Fuck, how many say 9?
Yeah, 9
He's good.
left.
We almost got him.
So let us know in the comments
Yeah.
who you want us to do next week.
Yep.
And yeah, if you did miss last week, go check it out. And we'll see you next week.
See you
That's all
guys.
from me.
That's all from me.
That's all from me. See ya.